So before we start the show, San Francisco making a couple of roster moves that we predicted and we talked about on yesterday's 53-man roster show. And Adam Schefter making this news official that the 49ers have signed Austin Bryant and Kerry Hyder to one-year contracts. The corresponding roster moves here for the Niners, placing defensive lineman Robert Beal Jr., late-round pick out of Georgia, as well as wide receiver Danny Gray on the injured reserve list. Now, putting them on the IR list doesn't mean that they have to miss the entire 2023 season. If that were the case and they were to be put on IR prior to the initial 53 being announced, then they would have to miss the entire 2023 campaign. So wanted to pass along that news. And then on today's show here, because this happened after we recorded this, Niners making plenty of roster moves. Their practice squad is set, and we're going to break that down right now. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. I'm Chase Sr. Coming your way on today's show, the 49ers have filled out all 16 spots of their practice squad. And San Francisco losing a couple players on the NFL waiver wire, especially two players who I really wanted to see make the 53-man roster in Il Manning and DeSean Jamison. All that coming your way. First, though, make sure you subscribe to the channel. The channel's been popping off over the last couple of weeks. Really do appreciate the support. And if you're looking for daily Niners talk with original opinions and really good analysis, and you want to become a smarter Niners fan, this is the place for you. We're approaching 84,000 subscribers, and hopefully at some point during the season, we're able to get to 100K, because if that happens, YouTube is sending us a plaque, and we're going to celebrate that here on the show. So these players lost through the NFL waiver wire who were originally playing for San Francisco throughout training camp and in the preseason. Now they're going elsewhere. Il Manning, the UDFA offensive lineman out of Hawaii who is playing a lot of left tackle for the second-string offense, he got claimed by the Arizona Cardinals. So he immediately becomes a member of Arizona's 53-man roster. Keith Ismail, offensive lineman, he too got claimed by Arizona, so he is a part of that 53-man roster. And then DeSean Jamison, the UDFA defensive back out of Texas, who had been making plays, really going all the way back to rookie minicamp and OTAs, flashed a little bit in the preseason, had really good coverage grades, was an impact player on special teams. He has been claimed by the Carolina Panthers. He too has cracked that 53-man roster. And really, when you look at this, I think these are unfortunate losses for the Niners. Ideally, they could have kept Il Manning and DeSean Jamison. I even said it during our roster breakdown yesterday and in the lead up to it. Those were two rookies who I thought deserved roster spots because both showed plenty of flashes throughout the preseason and in the training camp sessions. And my issue with this is that Manning and Jamison specifically outplayed players who actually made the 49ers 53-man roster. I thought Il Manning was a better player as compared to Jalen Moore and Nick Zakelj, and I thought that DeSean Jamison, he outplayed in the slot Isaiah Oliver, who also made this team, but San Francisco gave Isaiah Oliver some guaranteed money. So long, Ilm. What a run for him it was in the preseason for the Niners, and we did a deep dive, analytical type of look at him on a show a couple of weeks ago. 92 snaps in the preseason, all came at left tackle, and he had a pretty clean slate. 0 sacks allowed, 1 hit allowed, 2 pressures allowed. For a UDFA playing at left tackle out of position, because at the NFL level he's probably going to slide to the interior, those are really impressive numbers. I thought he had a really solid showing. The Niners kept projecting him as a guard just because of his short arms, but this is an affordable player at a position of need for San Francisco who now goes to a division rival. As for DeSean Jamison, we shift over to him. His preseason Pro Football Focus grades were also really solid. I understand that some of the productivity is coming against backups, but you're looking to see of whether or not these guys can play. And I saw DeSean Jamison can play. Il Manning can play. And they can be a member of that 53-man roster, especially when they outplay players who you actually kept. So an overall PFF grade for Jamison of 77.2, a coverage grade of 74.8. I really liked his instincts at that cornerback spot. He made plays going all the way back to rookie minicamp and the OTA sessions, and he could impact this team as a returner too. But Isaiah Oliver making the team over him, it really, in my opinion, my eyes, only comes down to the guaranteed money that San Francisco gave Oliver, maybe the experience as well. So with that, we show you our poll question for today's show. I encourage you to get your responses in the comment section here. Will the Niners regret not keeping Il Manning and DeSean Jamison? R for regret, A for all good. Let me know down in the comment section. San Francisco also staying busy today, occupying all 16 spots of their practice squad. And here it is. This information just coming out moments ago as we're recording this live. Fullback Jack Colletto back to the Niners. So too is Marlon Davidson. They go external move here with Shemar Jean-Charles of the Green Bay Packers. More thoughts on him coming up here in just a few moments. Corey Luciano, the Bay Area native, back to San Francisco as well. Defensive tackle T.Y. McGill signed to the practice squad. Linebacker Curtis Robinson. Offensive tackle Leroy Watson. And defensive back Qwuantrezz Knight, who I thought really popped and displayed a lot of ability throughout the preseason. Good year-over-year growth for Knight. More players here. Defensive lineman Alex Barrett. We talked about him yesterday. Wide receiver Chris Conley once he comes back from that shoulder injury. Tight end Troy Fumagalli. I thought that against the Raiders, he looked really good. Offensive lineman Alfredo Gutierrez will be a member of the International Pathway Program, so because of that, he does not count toward the 16 spots on the practice squad. Running back Brian Hill. Wide receiver Tay Martin. Willie Snead lives on. Tre Swilling and Isaiah Winstead back to the Niners here. I really like his potential as a guy who might be able to do something down the road. He showed some ability for me as well throughout the preseason. When we talk about the regular season, week 1 is going to be here before we know it. Coming up into Sundays, we'll be doing a watch party for that game against Pittsburgh. San Francisco enters that contest as 2.5-point favorites. The over-under pretty low here at 41. That 2.5, pretty fishy. A lot of people are smashing the Steelers right now. And if you want to bet on that game, no better place to do it than with our sportsbook partner, BetUS, offering the best deal that any sportsbook has to offer, 125% deposit bonus. Chatsports.com/49bet. Promo code Niners125. What that means is you put $100 into your account, you get $125 back. Trace, how much is that? $225 to game with, right? Trace went to Arkansas, the Harvard of Arkansas. I failed elementary algebra at Temple University. We can even do that math. See for yourself. Link right here, promo code right here. So I have some thoughts on some of these players, and right before we went live, San Francisco made the practice squad fully available with all 16 of these players. So before that, I had thoughts on the players who were already back on the P squad. Jack Colletto specifically, I think that he could be Kyle Juszczyk's future replacement. Agile, athletic, looked great on his touchdown in the preseason, week 2 against Denver. He can also run block. There was a moment against, who was it? Week 2 against Denver when Ty Davis-Price was missing blocks left and right in pass protection. Colletto comes in there, sticks the gap, and is able to hold up really well in pass protection. I think San Francisco saw that, saw him run to the end zone on that touchdown pass from Sam Darnold, and they thought, he can be a guy for us moving forward, and Kyle Juszczyk is not getting any cheaper. Thoughts on Marlon Davidson here. Some ability here. Second-round pick by the Falcons in 2020. Wasn't good with Atlanta. He really flashed for me in the preseason, and I'm always intrigued by a Chris Kosaric developmental project, trying to get a guy right. Maybe Davidson can be the most recent example of that. Shemar Jean-Charles. That's one of the external moves of a player that the Niners are bringing in here to the practice squad. 5th-round pick in 2021 by Green Bay. Played his college football at Appalachian State. Good ball skills, at least in his senior season. 16 pass breakups. I can try to mold that and get on board with it. Thoughts on Corey Luciano? Bay Area product. Went to Washington. Feel-good story here. Backup center prospect for you. T.Y. McGill was with this team last year. He's a quality backup defensive tackle who can certainly fill in if injuries do occur. San Francisco, along the defensive line, has to be better at stopping the run. Curtis Robinson, backup linebacker, special teams ability, familiarity with the team. He's been with the Niners since 2021. Leroy Watson, keep waiting for him to break out. I thought in the preseason he had some fine moments. He played tight end at UTSA. Now he's one of those developmental tackle prospects. You know the athlete is in there if you play tight end, Division I football. Qwuantrezz Knight, he caught my eye flying around the field in the preseason finale and also against the Denver Broncos, the second week of that preseason. There was a moment where he came all the way across the field on a running play, laid a big hit. I love those instincts. So those are some thoughts that I have on some of the players who have been added to the practice squad. Again, a lot of those notes that I put together were well before we went live, and then they made those moves right before we went live. I have some more thoughts on those players as well. You can ask me about them in one of our mailbag segments if you're kicking it with us live on the 49ers Report. If you made it till the end of the show, type Real One down below. San Francisco. We appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe to the show for daily updates on the Niners.